The fourth and final part of Netflix's Sabrina is a veritable Pandora's box of Eldritch Terrors and OG aunties, with an intensely emotional ending that will have many fans wishing for another season. Yippee-ki-yay movie lovers, I'm Jan, and in this video I'm breaking down the series finale of CAOS, clues and theories about what would have happened in the now cancelled Part 5 and whether Sabrina could still return. Obviously spoilers ahead, so take care. The main events of the finale kick off when Sabrina Morningstar crashes through the magic mirror as she returns from the duplicate cosmos. Having fled the alternate Earth with a talking Salem who's actually an Eldritch Terror himself, she arrives back in Sabrina Spellman's bedroom and warns her that the void is on its way to destroy the Earth. But Morningstar's escape and journey between the two worlds has left her badly injured, and she and Salem quickly die. In an effort to stop the void, Sabrina Spellman is about to make a wish on the reality-altering imp of the perverse when the mysterious trinket salesman shows up. Sabrina trades the imp for Pandora's box, the mythical object said to have unleashed evil and terror into the world. Sabrina using Pandora's fabled box against the Eldritch Terrors which Blackwood summoned is a nice callback to Part 2 when she taunted him about her newfound powers to resurrect and perform miracles.
The gods give Pandora a jar containing all the sorrows of the world. They armed her for vengeance. Father Blackwood, for destruction. Do you really want to open that lid?
Sabrina then ventures into the void alone, and as she wants to take full responsibility for the impending apocalypse, she blocks off the magic mirror so no one can follow her. Given that the void by definition represents nothingness, the design the CAOS team came up with is interesting. The pictures in the room are by the renowned Dutch graphic artist MC Escher, who is known for his depictions of mathematical and impossible objects. For example, when you look at this pair of hands drawing, the image creates a strange illusionary loop in your mind, so you can't tell where the picture begins or ends. And it seems like a fitting choice perhaps, given it was Sabrina's refusal to go back and complete the time loop at the end of Part 3, which led to this situation in the first place.
When you're done with everything, you have to come back to right here, right now, and do what I just did to complete the time loop. It's the only way to keep the realms preserved.
Another intriguing piece of Escher's art in the void is Day and Night, with its symmetrical mirroring of dark and light birds flying in opposite directions that merge into a patchwork of tiled fields below. This piece seems to perfectly represent Sabrina's dual nature with her mortal and infernal sides, as well as the merging of the two different but same Sabrinas this season. Now that she's in the void, Sabrina opens up Pandora's box, which starts sucking the final Eldritch Terror into it, but this time it's not her impetuousness that messes up the plan as it's often done in the past. Instead, back on Earth, her aunties Ambrose and Nick have cast a spell that brings Spellman's soul back into Morningstar's dead body. And although the void appears to have been defeated when they discover it's disappeared from the Academy's observatory, weird things begin to happen the next day. It's Sabrina's 17th birthday, 1 year on from the events of the first season, and objects and even people start to mysteriously disappear around her. A scan reveals that Sabrina's insides appear empty, and they realise the void's now inside her. Understanding she's a threat to everyone and everything around her, Sabrina selflessly banishes herself to the Mountains of Madness to protect those she loves. Blackwood, who knows the void's arrived, seeks out Sabrina with the intention of sacrificing her by draining out the Eldritch Terror, then containing it and consuming it to obtain its powers, similar to when he ate a piece of the Uninvited. Team Spellman goes to the Mountains of Madness for a final showdown with Blackwood and the Void, during which Faustus is neutralised after they trick him with a fake Pandora's box, blinding him with gunpowder. However, Sabrina, who's been learning everything about the Void, explains that Blackwood's plan to bloodlet her is still the only way to extract the Eldritch Terror from inside her. And although she and her aunties fear the worst, she shows strength, leadership and bravery in her final moments.
The void believes in nothing, thinks we don't matter, but we do. We have strength and a bond that the void can't touch. So let's finish this the way we always do. Together.
It's a very emotional moment given the risks, and even a little Iron Man Endgame-esque. And just before they begin, there's a little bit of foreshadowing of how Nick will end up joining Sabrina in the afterlife.
I'll see you on the other side.
As the white void flows out of Sabrina, she tries to hold on, but it just takes too long. And in her final moment, she says goodbye to everyone as a montage flashes past. It's a heartbreaking time for Nick, especially when he emerges last from the void to tell Sabrina they saved everyone, only to learn she's dead. Nick and Sabrina, of course, do end up together in the very final scene of the series, as he joins her in the suite hereafter, revealing he went swimming in the Sea of Sorrows and drowned. Whether he meant that literally or figuratively, it seems he was determined to be with Sabrina and decided to join her in the afterlife.
Sabrina Spellman, we're Endgame.
That's similar to what Sabrina told Harvey in part 3 about him and Roz, who also end up together by the end of the series.
You guys are Endgame.
A couple of interesting details are that Sabrina now has a white headband rather than the black or red ones we've seen her with. And as Nick and Sabrina kiss, he pulls her hand to the chain around his neck that holds his locket, the other one of which he gave her for her 17th birthday.
One for me and one for you, so that I'll always be able to find you.
A few other moments foreshadowing this scene include when Nick told Sabrina that he wanted to be part of her world.
Calm down, Ariel.
And also, as Sabrina is dying, you can hear a little echo of her telling Nick,
I'm never letting you go.
That's something Sabrina said to Nick in part 3, after he returned to her from being trapped with Lucifer in the Acheron.
I'm never letting you go.
And although I have mixed feelings about this final scene and how the series ended, it's worth noting that Sabrina looks happy and at peace with herself even before Nick arrives. That's because Sabrina learning to love herself was a big theme in part 4.
We will always be loved. We are each other. We have each other, and we love each other.
Then there was that great moment when the two Sabrinas just hung out and had fun dancing with each other. We also see how Sabrina comes to understand that although she can have a boyfriend if she chooses, she doesn't absolutely need one to be happy.
Who needs boys when we have each other?
Amusingly though, Spellman does have a go at making her own ideal man using the candle she inscribed with Nick and Harvey's name in part 3.
May you be the best of both Nick and Harvey.
And although things don't exactly work out with Lucas Hunt, Sabrina quickly moves on from the brief fling and flushes the wax man down the drain.
Boys, I think I need to be alone for a little while. I need to figure out who I am.
It's great to see Sabrina maturing in this way in her final season, as it's been something of an intentional running joke through the series about how she often plows ahead doing exactly the opposite of what everyone else is recommending. This criticism's been a little unfair at times, given she's only young and will naturally want to do her own thing, and be curious, rebellious and even foolhardy at times. And despite a few stumbles, such as getting drunk and causing a scene at Hilda's wedding, by the time the Eldritch Terror the Cosmic appears on the horizon, Sabrina and her doppelganger decide to step up to the plate and take full accountability.
This mess is our fault. We won't be responsible for countless deaths of witches, mortals, and infernals.
The idea that Sabrina's reckless decisions would culminate in a grand reckoning was mentioned way back in part 2 by her aunt Hilda.
Everything has a price. That's how witchcraft works.
But I don't think there's a price for me. Not anymore.
You are racking up a cosmic debt the like of which the world has never seen.
Owning up to the problem, both Sabrinas agree to a risky merge procedure that will cause at least one of them to lose their memories and identity. A neat callback to when Sabrina intercepted herself at the end of part 3.
Shouldn't we merge or something? Ambrose would say so. Yes, but I have a soup's crazy idea.
I like the way this scene is framed, with the twins lying next to each other on a stone slab, with Sabrina Morningstar on the left and Spellman on the right, referencing the dream that Sabrina had in the very first episode of season 1, when she came across a pair of baby twins on a large stone in the woods, and the baby on the left had hooved feet like the devil. And although that merge is abandoned, in a sense, both Sabrinas do end up merged in the end, when Spellman's soul is transferred into Morningstar's body. Because the series was cancelled after filming for part 4 had been completed, there are some big plot points and character arcs that were left wide open to explore in what would have been the next season. Lilith had an especially traumatic time in part 4, with Caliban first cursing her pregnant belly to explode, which almost killed her, and then Lucifer threatening to take away her son.
As Romulus and Remus suckled on the teat of a wolf, so our sons shall suckle on the teat of a hellhound. You have 6 last hours to spend with Adam.
In a desperate act, rather than hand her baby over to the Dark Lord, she kills him and serves him as a meal, which also serves as revenge for when Lucifer killed Mary Wardwell's fiancé Adam in the 2nd season and cooked him as dinner for Lilith. Enraged, Lucifer strips Lilith of her powers and inflicts her with human weakness but the inability to die. So she asks Caliban to get her the Spear of Longinus so she can kill herself, But after Zelda convinces her not to throw her life away, she uses it to stab Lucifer after he reneges on a deal to restore her abilities. It's a gruesome but powerful moment when she consumes his celestial blood and powers. With Lucifer cast out of hell and Caliban stuck in the void, the season ends with Madame Satan back in charge of the infernal realm, and it would have been fascinating to see what she would have got up to in part 5. The series' long-running villain Father Blackwood is finally defeated by the very end as Prudence chops him up into tiny pieces to scatter across the world. Even with his immortality, it would be highly unlikely he'd ever reform his body again. However, continuing his work is Ms. Wardwell, who we see reading the Eldritch Gospel to the Pilgrims of the Night Church and recounting the events of the final episode. So a 5th season could have brought her back as a potential antagonist. There were also numerous pointers to a war brewing throughout Part 4, with a few scenes showing that the denizens of Hell were unhappy with the Greendale Coven's worship of the goddess Hecate.
But the witches are without the Dark Lord's gifts.
They now worship Hecate! They mean war!
And we know from showrunner Roberto Aguirre Sacasa that Part 5 was originally going to deal with what he called a witch war. I also expect that originally Sabrina's death in Part 4 wasn't going to be permanent and would have been reversed in some way. In fact, there's a line that Zelda says to Hilda after burying both the Sabrinas that seems to hint at this.
Why did you not preserve her, Dark Mother? It's not right, Hilda. It's just not right that she's gone.
Zelda is referring to Hecate and how they all prayed to her during Sabrina's bloodletting to keep her alive. We've already seen how Hecate has been able to bring the dead back to life in the series, for instance Hilda in Part 3, which makes me wonder whether there was originally an alternate ending that at least hinted at Sabrina's return. Perhaps the original final scene was just a flicker of life from Sabrina's grave, a la Batman vs Superman, or whether that would have just been seen at the start of Part 5. Of course, in a supernatural world like CAOS, anything can happen, and even the showrunner has hinted that there could be something still to come after Part 4, although whether this is just the promised comic book follow-up or a spin-off, prequel or crossover in Riverdale remains to be seen. And if you haven't had enough Sabrina yet, you can discover more of the amazing details and Easter eggs cleverly hidden in the show in my CAOS Things You Missed video. Tap here to watch that or follow the link in the video description. So what were your thoughts on the 4th and final season of Chilling Adventures? Were you happy with the ending, or what else would you like to have seen? Leave your comments below, and if you enjoyed this, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, it's hugely appreciated. Next, tap left for my next Sabrina video, or tap right for something else you're sure to like. Thanks for watching and see you next time, yippee-ki-yay movie lovers!